choking down dust, starving. Until now, our hunt begins again.
What is going on, y'all, and welcome back. And yes, today we are cracking open a new game, 10 of the ultimate starter tips for V-Rising. But first, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing. I am always cranking out content, and of course, smashing that like button so your boy can get a little promotion. Both are greatly appreciated. So V-Rising is an open world vampire survival game where you can craft, build bases, play with your friends online, PvE, PvP, boasting upwards of 40 bosses already, still is a beta game. Very early access, only $20 on Steam, a lot of content for the money, a very smart purchase. But after deciding that I was going to play locally for the first time and creating my vampire, we shall log in to find ourselves in the tutorial graveyard. Now, starting out, you're going to have to kill a lot of these skeletons. It's just going to be the main priority of all your little quests that you're going to find in your top corner, just all these little bone recipes for sword axe and whatnot. But while you traverse around the graveyard, destroy everything. I mean everything, because you're going to need all these resources, and you're definitely not going to cap out your carry weight this early on in the graveyard. And if you carry all these materials back with you, I mean hundreds of wood and stone, of lumber and stone, you're going to be able to crank out your base really fast and get a jump on what you need to do. Treat it like Skyrim, you know what I mean? Just grab everything. If you don't need it right this second, you will need it eventually for sure. Now, as you've noticed right here in the top corner, this is our day meter. Now, this right here is 24-hour cycle. Each hour is 1 minute. You have 16 night and 8 day. So if you spend too much time, you will get caught in the sun, and it does hurt. But every little piece of shadow counts, so that is a good tip to have. Just remember to keep an eye on it, because if you let it get away from you, you might be in the middle of a battle and you get caught in the sun, and then you're going to be trying to hide in the shade and fight. You know, it can get quite troublesome. But if you're out running on the paths, you can have a little bit of comfort knowing that the less beaten path off the side of the road is usually filled with shade. So you can usually find your way around during the daylight pretty safely, but it is something to keep an eye on and know your time constraints for sure. But moving on next, another thing you should definitely keep an eye on is your main survival ingredient in V-Rising, which is blood. Now, there's various types of blood that have different levels and different effects, so the whatever percent blood you get will determine what tier blood it is, and then the buffs kind of just stack as it goes down, so the better blood you get, the better buffs you get. So you do need to keep an eye on that, otherwise you will get faint and die. If it runs out, your life will just start ticking. You'll get like a white tinge around the screen, and your life will just start ticking down. So as a responsible vampire, remember your blood levels, people. Now, in the graveyard, you're going to see a bunch of these rats early on. Grab all of these rats. You are going to need them because there is not always blood when you need it. And the blood min that you use heals kind of slow. So you can take these rats and you can craft them into vermin solve. And then you can drink this in mid-fight. So you can run around the corner and you can heal some passively. It doesn't heal you all the way, but it is good to have this in your back pocket because it can pull you out in a pinch. But moving on to when you go to start building your base, you're going to want to make sure that you pick a little spot away from the road. Looking at this map, as you can see, I found this little section, and these are like remnants of where old houses were. So then you're going to find lots of copper deposit, lots of wood and stone in here. So these are ideal areas. You don't want to go right off the road. You're going to get blocked by big rocks in the road. Just makes it more of a pain in the ass when it comes to setting up your castle hard and trying to get started. And of course, all the traffic and everything that's right by the road, you wouldn't want to be right by the road anyways. You'd be getting bombed all the time. But as soon as you get set up, you're going to want to go and craft you one of these misters right here. Now, these mister will generate shade for you while you have just the palisades up around for your castle. You're not going to have any shade. You will still get cooked alive in your house. But as soon as you have the castle heart down, you can slap down a coffin, slap down a mister, that way you have shade. And if you do this all fast enough, you can have this done in the first day before the sun comes up. So being efficient, will help you out in the end. And of course, if you gathered up enough material, it'll be time for you to go ahead and upgrade everything a little bit. Get you some new plated bone guard, chest guard. That's That's kind of funny. A little repetitious, but okay. Now, using a sword at beginning to attack the skeletons in the graveyard is okay, but as time moves on, you're going to need the appropriate weapon for the job. Now, as you see, the sword is for vegetation, axe for wood, mace for stone, spear for creatures. It makes such a difference to use the spear, especially early on. I mean, it is a complete 180 difference. So as you see right here, the 25% physical damage to creatures alone sets it apart, and on top of the attack speed, you being a lot faster. So don't be lured or fooled by the double-handed axes. It was gonna do you wrong. It will do you no justice, I promise. But moving on to the next tip. It took me a second to figure this out. Now, the world is massive in V-Rising, lots of running, and there is auto run, which is beautifully controlled too by the mouse, so you can hold right click and kind of swivel your head around and it doesn't disengage the auto run, which is great. Some games don't feature that and it becomes a pain in the ass. Every time you touch something you have to reset the auto walk, and it's like kind of defeats the purpose if I have to keep resetting the auto walk. But not in this. They took care of that right off the way, and mine was automatically set to mouse button 4, like my side mouse button, so double check to see what yours automatically binds to, just to be sure. And moving on to the last and final tip. Now, when you do set up your blood altar at your castle for the first time, you're going to track some V-Blood. These are the mini bosses of V-Rising. Now, the first one that you'll, at the very top of the list, is the Alpha Wolf. Now, you will get a wolf form from him, which is cool, and he is the lowest level. But my advice to you is to go for the third one down, ʀɪsɪɪ the Frost Hunter, or the Frost Archer, pardon me. Now, she is a higher level, but you can kind of cheese her a little bit by standing on the edge of the tent, and she spawns in all these archers that also will help get them all on one side. Stand right there and you'll be able to take them out kind of one by one, bringing some vermin solve for sure, and making use of all the bears around. The bear, I think the bears actually did finish her off for me, because I just kept running around aggroing the bears, and every time you turn around, the bears, oh yeah, look at them, wow, 2 bears over there on her right now, tearing her up. Right, so keep that in your back pocket too. Definitely smart to go straight for the third boss, because this unlocks leather, and that is going to be the next thing required to upgrade all your armor, your castle heart, and move on to the next set of recipes. And it's not that difficult. As you can see, you can either cheese her by using the tent or unlock the slew of bears that are around in the cages. There's some wolves in there, so be careful. I don't think the wolves aggro her. Yeah, they did. What am I talking about? But as you can see, after finishing her and sucking her blood out, we have now acquired new recipes and new skills. We got the tannery. We can now take our thousands of animal hides that we accrued and had no way to tan and turn them all into leather, upgrade all of our armor, and upgrade our castle heart and get a jump start just that fast. But hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by. I hope y'all got something from the video. If you did, comment down below, tell me what you thought, and if you want to see more V-Rising, subscribe, because there's more coming, Jack. I appreciate it, y'all, and I'll catch you folks in the next one.